This right here represents a small portion of devices that I made modified content for on this channel. But lately I've been getting a lot of requests specifically to do a teardown of one specific device. What's going on today, Internet? Selfish here with Retrospect. Today we are going to take a look at the Miyoo Flip. And I'm going to do that teardown everybody's been asking for. But I went online and I found some stuff we can add to it. And I said, well, that makes sense. We're not wasting our time then. Let's take a look. Alright, I'm trying to remember how I did this. I think I'm actually going to have stuff for two devices in here. For this one and another handheld. And I don't even know if I'll be able to tell them apart. And I don't know what colors are what. So we're going to figure this out here together, I guess. My worst opening job yet? Okay, oh yeah, we just put it on the side here. Look at that. That worked out good. Never mind, there's a flap there. That's what it's doing. It's going down the flap. Booyah. I have in there now, I think. Oh, but with a red D-pad. Okay, that's cool. Reverses the buttons, which is kind of neat. Okay, I dig that. Some of these are going to be for the 34XX as well. I don't really exactly remember what I ordered. I think these are the ones here that are for this device. Yes, there we go. That's the same D-pad. This one's a little bit different. It's got a bigger thing on the bottom there. Yep, and that's got that button there. This has the shoulder buttons right there. Our ABXY, we got power. Yep, okay. So this is going to be the bad boy we are doing right here. We're going to go blue today. Put these back over here so that I can lose them before I get to that video. There's a guy on Etsy that made these. I will get his information. I'll put up here on the screen for you. He was really awesome. Like, I talked to him a bunch of times. He initially had no idea why I had ordered these or what I was going to do with them. Very responsive, very nice guy. So first off, what we're going to do here, and I haven't actually pulled one of these apart before, so we're going to learn together, but I have pulled apart hundreds of handhelds, so I think we're probably going to be okay. But we are going to remove the 4 screws here on the back and then kind of go from there. It's a good way to find out what exactly we need to do here. Before we go any further, I should make sure this is turned off. Oh, it's going to come apart anyways. Cool. And that the memory cards are out of it. So I forgot to take those out of there. One. Okay, cool. It looks like the back just fell off. So that's pretty neat. Oh, battery's separate. Okay. So make sure you watch that when you open it up so that you don't rip that battery cable off, because that would suck, but that'll just pop right off like that. There we have our vibrator motor too, so it vibrates right there, and then obviously our battery. This looks like a little cushion or heat tape right here to keep, because the chip is right there underneath the battery. So we're sort of using the battery as a heat sink as well. I kind of stopped doing that, but you do still see it every once in a while. Looks like we're gonna need some 00 screws, I'm guessing, for some of these down here. And then usually, in my experience in the past, typically Miyoo doesn't actually screw down their joysticks. So let's see if that's true here. Yep, so they're going to fall right out. I don't think we're going to take those off. I think we're just going to leave them on the board because these look like they'd be really hard to put back on. In fact, the guy that I ordered this from said they were hard to put back on. But we're going to see if we can get away with just leaving them attached to the board there, because we should be able to separate everything. Now we just have to figure out if these are a 00 or 000. Double it is. It's not so bad using an electric screwdriver when you're actually taking stuff off, but with electronics like this that are kind of agile, when you put it back together, you're definitely going to want to use a hand screwdriver. So it looks like we have 4 screws, one here, one here, one here, and one here. I don't see any others. I'm sure there will be something we're missing, but that looks like that should be enough to make it fall apart. So we'll get her unscrewed. And it looks like this is just going to come apart again. We'll find out. Okay, so there comes the buttons. So I'm going to guess that we need to add this rubber piece back in. So maybe we'll pull these off first. Okay, so we have our buttons. And we'll just keep those together for now. And let's see, we have our power button too. Is that going to pop out? Nope. Okay, and so then we should be able to just... It seems like it just wants to get lifted. It is attached... Oh, it's attached by the ribbon cable here. But we should be able to just roll this thing over now. This isn't probably the safest way to do this, because you don't want to wreck the ribbon cable for the screen. So just be very careful if you're going to do it the way that I'm doing it. Actually, you know what we could do? Well, you can remove this cable too, which isn't that difficult. You just have to pick up the thing and then unplug it like that. It's going to be hard to plug back in, so I guess we'll figure that out when we get there. That's probably going to be our hardest part there. Now we do have our volume keys. We should have a power button in here. Those are our LEDs. Here's our single speaker that's right there in the middle. Pretty sweet. All right, so where do we want to start? Do we want to start with the D-pad? We do the D-pad first. It's pretty easy. All this stuff is just going to swap right over. So when I asked for these, he did like kind of a galaxy kind of thing where they have a little bit of glitter to them, which I thought was kind of neat. I know somebody's going to ask me why I chose these colors. I have no idea. I just wanted colors that contrasted so we could tell while we were doing this video that we were going to do buttons on it. So that's all I was going for, really. And I was looking at something at the time that was these colors, and I don't remember what that was anymore. I was going to include that in this, but I have no idea what that was. But I've always been a sucker for light blue, so, you know, we got the light blue in there. Oh. Wow. Wow. The little top goes on top. So there is a thicker and a thinner end. The thinner end actually goes towards the top there. So when you put this back in, probably still easier to use the tweezers. Yep, and they'll sit right like that. And then all you got to do is put this membrane back on there. Wow, this is going pretty smoothly. Something's going to go wrong here very shortly. I can tell you that right now, because it never goes very smoothly. All right, and we have our buttons. Now these were, I believe, molded. So these aren't necessarily 3D printed, but I believe these are done with a mold. And I mean, they're looking like they're spot on. Boy, if they're not, they're going to be within a fraction of a fraction here. We're going to find out soon, though. It wouldn't even be bad if they were just a little bit taller, just because there is some space there. Not that they need to be, but they are very flat buttons, so it wouldn't be the worst. Oh no, what's happening here? My Y came off. I guess if I did this the way they're supposed to be done, you would be... Oh, it's going to change my button order. I guess you can't do it that way. All right. So much for my little trick. Didn't really need it, though. They slot in there, so it just made more sense once I figured out that it wasn't fitting in there right, or was kind of moving around, that we just put it in that way. So, oh no, our button went upside down. Excuse me, sir. So these have a flat side to them, and that flat side is going to go towards the center. I don't think it really matters, honestly. No, it doesn't matter. But the way they're set up here is they're going towards one side, so it doesn't matter. And then we put this bad boy back on. Look at that. Oh, that looks really cool. I'm glad that I chose this color now. Okay, so the other ones we're gonna wait. Well, I guess we could put them in now, but they're probably gonna fall out. We'll find out. Plus goes on top, I imagine. This isn't a Pow Kitty device, so it should be in the right order. Okay, so there's a flat side. The flat side goes towards the bottom, so that if you look at it, there is like a little lip there, right there at the end. That's gonna go on the bottom. If it doesn't, we're gonna find out soon. And again, plus on top over here, this is why I was gonna wait to do these, so we might have to do them again. Just because they fell off while we were pulling it apart. All right, so now we have to figure out how to get this ribbon in. I should have just left it, but it made more sense to take it out in the end. All right, so yeah, these are just gonna keep falling out. Okay, we're gonna leave that out for now. Here we go. Whew, that was tricky. All right, so you want to make sure that it's all the way up to the little things. It should be just fine. So that worked out. Hopefully we didn't wreck the cable or anything like that. And then we should be just rolling this bad boy over. And now we'll put those buttons back in that fell out that I knew were going to fall out. We'll wait on those two because we're going to put these things together. Okay. So we need... these to be like that. And take these here, move them over. Uh-oh. Take these here, move them over. Let's explain why they're quieter. This rubber here is actually helping make it a little bit quieter when you're pushing these buttons as well. So that's pretty cool that they did that. Holds them together too so they don't shake as much, so also to help make it quieter. I don't think I've seen that in a handheld ever, honestly. So these here are left. Where that fit in there? Oh, that looks cool. All right, and then one more side. All right, so there's those. Pretty cool. And then, okay, so power or volume goes up again. Okay, and then this one here, again, this little flat part here, I believe goes down like this towards the bottom, so that flat part's right there on the bottom side because everything seems to match up. Also, this is springy because there's a thing on the speaker that holds it up so it makes the contact with the speaker. Now, I just, you might want to be a little careful with these because I just slid underneath the button, so maybe don't do what I'm doing and screw around with it once you get it in there, but Now they're set up. This one's still a little wonky. There we go. And it's springing off that lever that's in there to make it connect. So we are going to put our 4 screws back in again. As long as there's no pressure when you're doing this, you're not really breaking anything. There could be like a minimal amount of pressure just from that spring from the thing pushing up, but from the speaker. But other than that, I didn't screw the first one in all the way. I'll go back and finish that here in just a second. Just want to make sure everything lined up. And don't over tighten these because you are screwing into plastic, so you'll strip them real easily. Which is why I don't use the electric screwdriver when I'm putting these things back together. I used to. I still do sometimes, I guess, just not for you. Other people yell at me because they try it and they break stuff. If you get a really good feel for it, that's up to you, but I think you're better off just using a hand one. I found, even with myself, better off using a hand one. So, there we go. Oh, man. Get those back in there just like that and put my volume back up. I think the power one is a little bit easier to stay because it's like really in there touching those buttons, but it's not where it's going to break it or anything. All right, so last thing we need to do here is figure out where I'd unplug this. We just didn't plug in. Here we go. Plug her in. You can use a tweezer, is probably a better way to do it, but mine's already in, so not a big deal. Plugged in really easily. Everything else is still connected. We didn't disconnect the joysticks or anything like that. Now we will have to double check them to make sure they still work. Just because we didn't disconnect them makes me a little bit even more nervous than if I do, but... And then we just make sure these buttons have these little ridges on them, so make sure those ridges line up here. So I went and sanded down the back of this right button just to give it a little more clearance so I didn't have to keep wrenching on that piece in there to push it back. This one's always been a little sticky, but now I know why. It's that piece is a little close, and then also the button things on the back are a little long. Now, that's not his fault. The factory ones were a little long too. So, but now it does actually click correctly like it's supposed to. So I might want to do it a little bit more just to give it a little bit more play, but that rubber does such a good job silencing all this stuff, doesn't it? It's not even screwed back together yet. It's crazy. Oh, it looks good in there. All right. So we just have these last couple of screws to do. And so now we're going back to our regular size screws. And we just have these 4 screws right here that need to go in. And then we'll boot her up. After I suppose I show you what it looks like. I'm just going to put a little half spin in there just to make sure it's kind of like lines everything up. And then the rest of these we can screw in. We'll go back to that one last. Let's do a quick diamond here. Don't overscrew these. Once again, you're screwing into plastic, so you can either crack it or strip it. Once I screw it in, I typically go back about a 1/16 of a turn too, just to loosen it up a little bit. Doesn't need to be in there that tight. All right, so let's put this stuff away and then we'll take a look and see what it looks like. All right, so for the reveal, so on the outside here, we do have our shoulders and triggers. This one's still a little stiff, but it is clicking, so that's good. We might have to go back though and sand that a little bit more. Obviously, it's not too hard to do. We just take out the 4 screws, we can sand the back a little bit. It does have a similar clearance on both sides, but it does look like it's still a little bit closer. Not a big deal. We have our volume up and down over here. These are working just fine. We do have our power button. Ooh, baby. Oh, these do have just a titch, a little bit more height. The D-pad feels a little different. I don't know why. It's pretty much the same D-pad, but cool. All right, that'll work. We have our little menu button here. So we got that guy, and then we got our start and select. Let's power her up. Power button's over here on the right. My logo's upside down. Here, we'll do it and backward. I just was screwing around when I was making it, so I put it upside down and backward. So now we got everything up and running. It looks really nice. It is pretty freaking awesome. I'm very happy with how this turned out, and just the look and the color and the feel. I think it's pretty freaking awesome. If you want to get these buttons here, they're not affiliated or anything, but I will leave a link down on my thingamabob to the Etsy page where I picked these up. They are very nice. Give the guy a shout out, let him know I sent you. But that's all I got for you today. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, share this video with your friends because sharing is caring. It also helps grow the channel and is really the biggest way that we grow around here. As soon as you're done with all that, take a look at one of these videos here on your screen. YouTube chose it for you as part of your algorithm, so obviously it can't suck, maybe. I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't suck, but that's all I got for you today. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.